Lightning Spark. Taran watched as Dare, seemingly for no reason, approached each of the guards, perplexed.
It's strange he's paying attention to each of them. Maybe he's sensing their insecurity.
He smiled at the thought, knowing his passive magic had done its job. Being a Potentia mage meant more than the ability to fire lightning or create electrical currents. If you were clever, you could coat an area in pressure, making the inhabitants less approachable, more angsty, and generally simply easier to anger. It was interesting how it seemed to have not affected Dare, however.
He may be hiding it, or simply he hasn't noticed it.
He clutched the hidden necklace he wore under his clothes before standing from his crouch in a field close to the mother tree. The valley within the mountain was simply huge, and it quite honestly amazed him. Filled with fields and space, the small village seemed inconsequential compared to it. Though the group of abodes weren't his target, he had already gained enough information to make it a goldmine for the Queen. He only hoped she would look at his work favourably.
I'll set you free. When this is all over, I swear, you'll never suffer again, either of you.
He clutched his necklace tighter for a second, before turning and carefully walking to the towering tree that dominated the valley. He entered without hindrance. The tree itself normally had a decent flow of people coming to and from it, though, this late in the evening, only one could be seen, leaving the tree with some bandages around their wrist.
The amount of mages in hiding here is perfect. They're almost all injured and decently weak. No champions or artifacts are on show either. The only way this could be a better target would be if it harboured Alianis as well,
he thought as he began to climb the stairs. Oh, Taran, I was meaning to speak with you. The voice snapped him out of his thoughts as the golden-haired woman approached from the stairs above.
Ilara, was it?
He asked. The woman nodded in response.
Well, what can I do for you then?
He continued. Well, the appliance of your magic to restart Amber's heart was interesting. Groundbreaking, even. The possibilities of using Potentia to help in medicine hasn't been attempted before, from my knowledge, especially within the human race. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind spending some time with me, when we're both free, of course, and delving into the possibilities of your magic when applied to healing.
This is not the blasted time, woman, he thought as she spoke.
After a short moment of silence, he forced a smile.
Of course, though I've only ever applied it in defense or offense. What inspired you to ask me to help her in the first place?
He was interested in her proposition, mentally noting that her opinion could be helpful in the future, though obviously never with her. She would be clapped in irons within the week, if only he could escape the conversation and be on his way. Well, when her heart stopped, I obviously needed restarting. I realized we didn't have the time to manually apply needed actions, and Sanitatum cannot simply restart an organ. Only Vita mages can do that, of which we have none. I then thought that if we could jolt her body instantly, it might be enough, hence your Potentia magic.
Well, it clearly worked. It was a good thought of yours. Anyway, Ilara, I'll be in contact, but I must get going. Hunger claws at my stomach.
He swiftly brushed past her in the stairwell, as he ensured the finality of their conversation. Okay, I'll contact you then, she called after him, then continued on her own way. He passed the library, thanking Sancti for getting out of the conversation. Looking inside the library as he passed, he spotted no one within the knowledge-filled room.
I need to be careful. If that burns, then I'll most likely do the same when the Queen gets hold of me.
He continued to climb the stairs, passing the infirmary which held a few injured and a single healer who looked exhausted.
I don't blame her. This time of night is the darkest and deepest time. Almost everyone is asleep.
He slinked past the infirmary entrance and continued, eventually reaching the canteen. No one lay within. The wooden serving spirit lay dormant behind the service counter, waiting for someone to enter. He kept walking, quietly stepping up the stairs and past the spare storage rooms, past the room where Dare had found him, and finally reached his destination.
Here it is. From what I saw, not much was within, but I sensed something, an energy. There is something hidden within this room, and I must find it. Though, from the rumours, I heard he had an immense amount of locks and traps on his door, which could make this difficult. Then again, they will only work if the door is still there.
He chuckled at his thoughts, and retrieved his grimoire from his hip satchel, opening it towards its end, and revealing a page with a circular image, layered with runes.
I rarely have to write these runes. I understand almost all of my spells, but nothing can withstand this. No door, wall, or barricade. The complexity of it still marvels me. I was lucky I found it all those years back.
His thoughts raced back to a younger self, remembering him quickly scrawling the notes from his father's book, before sprinting off at the office's door handle, which creaked with pressure as someone began to enter.
Snapping back to the present, he placed his grimoire on the floor, after ensuring he hadn't been followed, and then began writing the runes on Dare's door, summoning Potentia into his fingers to draw them out. It took him a rough half-hour, by the moon's languid movement in the sky, for him to finish the drawing of his magical runes. Thankfully, no one came this high in the tree, but Dare and he was distracted. He stepped back to admire his work, placing his grimoire back in its satchel as he did. Before him lay a conglomeration of shining, white-blue, curvaceous lines, creating magical letters representing his intent of the spell. They covered the wall, glowing and crackling in a circle, laying atop each other and primed to be used. Well, that was the easy part. Now I need to fuel it. He opened his palms and placed them on the runic sigil. Instantly it felt like they were on fire, crackling energy flaring off his hands and into the wooden door before him. The wood began to melt, steam, and split, burning and screaming as his spell took effect. Wait, screaming? Screaming? He snapped his eyes about as the tree began to shake around him, a screeching, heart-wrenching scream shattering the air. His spell suddenly bulged outward, pushing him into the ground and the wall as his vast store of internal energy was quickly sucked away. Let go! Let go! He managed to yank his hands away from the door, stopping his energy flow abruptly. He watched as an emerald pulsing light ran in waves towards his spell, containing its effect before shooting off to the side of the tree and blowing a hole in it, the explosion throwing him out of the tree's side and hurtling at the ground. He realized what was happening just before he hit the ground, and pulled his arms close to his chest. A bubble of energy formed around him just before the impact, breaking his fall. With a groan and a short recovery time, he stood and turned, looking up. The tree above him seemed to have chlorophyll visibly flowing up from its roots, rushing towards where he had attempted to break through into Dare's room. Across the field he had fallen into, people were approaching, gawking at the spectacle. What the hell is this tree? He turned away, still bewildered, and attempted to get his bearings, before realizing what he had to do. The Queen. She needs to know. This place is worth much more than a simple hiding spot for rebels. Whatever it is, she will want to know. I need to tell her. Now.